I think the drum is moving in the other direction, but I'm delighted to welcome you to EAAP 2016 in Belfast, and I hope that you have a very enjoyable and informative conference. The organising committee have endeavoured to provide an interesting and stimulating programme, and a key theme of the conference this year is strong interaction and engagement with industry, as you will see from the very large number of workshops and discussions organised by our industry colleagues and sponsors. And I really encourage you to meet with sponsors and industry in the main exhibition area. The breadth of the scientific programme is really staggering. During the meeting, we have sessions on use of genetics and genomics to improve animal performance and welfare, alternative treatment strategies to reduce the use of antimicrobial resistance or the risk of antimicrobial resistance, amazing grazing, which is a topic very close to my own heart, climate and welfare smart housing, dog breeding, equine tourism, creating an enduring dairy sector post-quota, and livestock research challenges, livestock research priorities and the global funding challenge. So there really quite literally is something for everyone during the meeting. In fact, I think as a number of delegates have said already, the key challenge is really prioritizing between the different competing sessions. We are very pleased that this year's meeting has attracted over 1,500 delegates from over 66 countries across the world with a very wide range of scientific and industry backgrounds. So this really represents a fantastic networking opportunity, and I encourage all delegates to aim to establish contact with at least one delegate each day from a country or organization with whom you have not previously had contact. And I also hope you take the opportunity during your short visit to Belfast to explore Northern Ireland and see many of our local tourist attractions. But after a long and busy day, now is the time to relax and enjoy this short award ceremony, and that will last for around 25 minutes, and then we will have the main cultural display, which will last for around 30 minutes. And this will showcase some of our local music and dance. And I encourage you to stay to the end of the award ceremony for the cultural performance. The drum which you have just heard is known as a lambeg drum, and you'll be pleased to know that it has a very strong animal connection because it is made from local oak covered with a goat skin. So we are keeping the animal theme right to the fore even in our cultural events. And drums, in fact, have been made using these traditional techniques since the 17th century and are widely used in cultural events throughout the year. So at this stage, I'm very pleased to introduce Professor Liam Sinclair, who is President of the British Society of Animal Science, the host society for this year's meeting. Liam, thank you.
Thank you very much, Sinclair. And on behalf of the British Society of Animal Science, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to the 67th meeting of the European Federation of Animal Sciences here in Belfast. The United Kingdom has several very interesting, dynamic and exciting cities. And for those of you who've not had the opportunity to visit Belfast before, I hope that by the end of your period here in the city that you will agree that Belfast falls into that category. As Sinclair has mentioned and highlighted, there's a very impressive range of scientific presentations and sessions over the next few days. And I hope that you will find something that interests everyone. There's a range of topics, a range of disciplines, and a range of animal species as well. The scientific content is obviously the primary reason for coming to the conference, but coming to a conference such as this is so much more than about the scientific content. It's also an opportunity to meet old friends, to make new friends, and to experience the tradition, the culture, and the heritage of that particular region. This evening, we're going to experience some of that culture and heritage later on after the student presentations. And then there is also a cultural display over in the St. George's Market where we can see some of the finest animals in the region for you to have a look at, as well as other aspects as well. So I would like to extend again very much a welcome for you to come to the city of Belfast. I hope that you enjoy your time, that you benefit from a scientific program, and that you also have a very enjoyable time. Thank you very much, and I shall pass it over to Philippe for the rest. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Sinclair and Liam. Thank you for all of you for being here in this auditorium, and thank you for coming in Belfast. I'm very happy to welcome you. This will be my last conference as a president of EAAP, and I am very happy to hear that we will have more than 1,500 delegates, which is maybe you will win the wine that I promised you yesterday, if we overpass 1,500 participants. I want first to recognize all sponsors who support the event and help us to allow you a good price, a good venue, and to deliver good science in good conditions, while maintaining the price of the registration relatively low. You will see the name of these sponsors in the different documents, but I think that you should appreciate their effort of supporting our conference. My second set of thanks will be for the UK organizers and the UK organizing committee, who did really a very great job under the responsibility of the very dynamic and extremely efficient Sinclair Mayne. Without Sinclair, nothing could have been possible. I want also to thank Mike Steele, the CEO of BSIS, who acts, as always, as a very efficient member of this organizing committee. The success was not so evident when we went with Andrea Rosati about 2 years ago in Belfast at the Balmoral show, but you can be proud, as I am, of organizing this meeting, and you can say, I did it. You made good proposition, as it was said by Liam, to the EAAP Scientific Committee. The majority of them were accepted, and I believe strongly that the quality of science is the first reason of attraction of delegates to a conference, and this is really a success in that area. I also want to give special thanks to Birgitta Malmors, Phil Gansworthy and Mike Grossman for organizing, as in the preceding years, the pre-conference workshop on writing and presenting scientific paper, which was a success with around 50 participants. And I also want to thank the waterfront team of this building, who also did a great job for organizing this event. So I'll ask you to applaud all these people very warmly. So we will pass after that to the award ceremony. And the first award, I will ask to Spoolder to come and to Nicol to come on the scene, is given to Nicol. I remind you that the Leroy Award was created at the beginning of creation of EAAP, is the most highest distinction in terms of award regarding EAAP. So Hans, could you do the presentation, please?
Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, it's my pleasure to introduce to you this year's EM Leroy Fellowship Award winner. The Leroy Award highlights the work of an active scientist or professional whose activities and reputation are internationally recognized. And I'm particularly delighted to give this introduction, as the 2017 recipient is active in the area of applied ethology. And as you may know, this year, EAAP has created a new working group dealing with exactly this scientific discipline, the science of animal behavior. As president of the Health and Welfare Commission and one of the initiators of this working group, I think I can safely say that the timing could not have been better. I'm pleased, therefore, to introduce to you Professor Nicol from Bristol University in the UK. And let me tell you a little bit about Professor Nicol so that you understand why she receives the award this year. Professor Nicol obtained a degree in zoology from Oxford University in 1981, worked with horses for a year, then returned to Oxford to do a PhD on the welfare of caged hens with Professor Marianne Dawkins. She joined Bristol University in 1986 as a lecturer in farm animal welfare, where she worked hard to promote and develop animal welfare as an interdisciplinary theme. Until 2006, Christine acted as head of the Animal Welfare and Behavior Group, and until 2008 as initiator and program director of the BSc in Animal Behavior and Welfare. Anyone who knows Christine will know that she's passionate about her work. Christine's primary area of research is the application of animal behavior to the improvement of animal welfare. Her scientific work on laying hens formed an important part of the evidence that was used by the EU veterinary and scientific committees to bring about the 2012 EU ban on conventional battery cages for laying hens. But more importantly, it helped to develop viable and humane alternatives, housing systems which have been embraced by the industry at large. More recently, also, she contributed actively to an EFSA opinion on the need for purchase and the design to facilitate the interpretation by competent authorities, the industry, but also national legislators of the EU rules on purchase in poultry systems. Christine's also interested in applying quantitative epidemiological approaches to welfare problems. This work has elucidated the causes and the risk factors for debilitating welfare problems that occur on commercial farms, including feather pecking and cannibalism in hens, tail biting, vulva biting in sows, and obesity in horses, skeletal conditions and fractures in laying birds, and leg health problems in broilers. Having amassed much evidence about the management practices that can be adopted to improve farm animal welfare, she's now working with colleagues on ways of translating and disseminating the work to farmers, which of course is very important as well. This is all very applied, but alongside applied work, she retains a fundamental interest in animal behavior, developing new methods, for example, of assessing welfare and applying these to highlight problem areas and to produce solutions. I think tomorrow during her lecture she will talk about that particular subject. She also works on understanding the learning and cognitive abilities of domestic animals, and highlights of this work show that chickens are able to navigate using a sun compass, that they are able to exert self-control by foregoing a small immediate reward to obtain a delayed larger reward, that they are sensitive to perceived feeding errors by their chicks, and that they have a rudimentary object permanence concept, which means that they appreciate that an object still exists even though it's vanished from your view. Most recently, she's been working on the foundations of avian empathy by examining the extent to which hens react to mild distress in their chicks or in other adult birds, using a range of sensitive, non-invasive methods to measure the physiology alongside their behavior. She's published 160 peer-reviewed publications, 15 book chapters, and recently wrote a book on behavioral biology of chickens that was published last year. Earlier this year, Professor Nicol was asked to deliver the David Woodcock Memorial Lecture at the annual meeting of the ISAE, and that's the International Society for Applied Ethology. That's a great honor indeed, as she follows in the footsteps of some of the most influential applied ethologists of the last 2 decades. Now, it may be a coincidence that Professor Nicol receives 2 prestigious awards in 1 year. It's not a coincidence that she receives the Woodcock as well as the Leroy. She's a very thorough, productive scientist, both at the applied as well as at the fundamental side of animal behavior. And on top of that all, she's also an extremely nice person to work with. Dear colleagues, please join me in a warm welcome and congratulations to Professor Christine Nicol.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
So this is the plaque.
This is the one I keep for tonight.
You will have to give it back. And you have also this one that you can keep.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. Wow. Really overwhelmed. I'll say just really a couple of words. I can hardly believe that all of these people are here and all these nice words being said about me by Hans. It seems really unlikely that it's actually me standing here. I feel completely overwhelmed by it. I am going to give a talk tomorrow morning, so I'm not going to preclude what I'm going to say tomorrow morning. I just want to thank very much the EAAP, the people who nominated me, all of you for coming along and spending a few minutes listening to all that. And I suppose if I've got one little anecdote to show how things have changed, I'll just tell that one little anecdote to you now. When I was doing my PhD, when I was just starting my PhD on laying hens, I went to one of my first conferences that involved the industry. And at that conference, I sat next to an industry representative, and he asked me, "What are you doing? What is your work?" And I said, "Well, I'm interested in animal behavior and animal welfare." And he looked very surprised, and he said to me, "Oh, what are you going to do when you grow up?" Well, that was a very, very long time ago. And times have certainly changed. We work very, very closely with industry now to improve the behavior and the welfare of farm animals. And I hope I'll get a chance to tell you a little bit more about that tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You can keep it until tomorrow.
I will
bring it in the morning. You put it during your conference.
I'll guard it.
Okay. Thank you. And I will say, I will add that personally, I am very, very happy that the scientific committee and the Council of EAP has chosen first a lady first, and secondly, people working on behavior, because it is really the future, I think, a part of the future of animal production. So the next part will be the Distinguished Service Awards, which are awards given also by EAP to thank people who were involved deeply in the life of EAP. So we will have 3 awards this evening, as in the preceding year. And the first award will be given to, to Vangen. Vangen, it's a pleasure for me to ask Vangen to come on the scene. And it is a pleasure for those who don't know Vangen to present a scientist known by the community of animal geneticists, animal scientists throughout the world. And I'm very happy, really, that EAP Council has recognized your work, Odd. I want especially to underline your work as among one of the most courageous scientists, as Sinclair, who organized in the past an EAP conference in Stavanger in 2011. And finally, as the IAP president, I cannot hide my pride and satisfaction for having Odd as a personal colleague and a friend. Odd Vangen was in charge in EAP as vice president of the huge work of changing the system of designation of commission members, applying the recommendation of the forward-looking group. This was not an easy task, and you have succeeded very well, in my opinion, as we can see in this Congress in Belfast. The result is the good quality of the session are also the result of the work that you did. And I want especially to thank your diplomacy and friendliness for that purpose. As you may know, Odd is a professor of animal breeding and genetics in Norwegian University of Life Science. His scientific production is around 180 scientific articles, more than 25 textbooks and chapters, approximately 150 international conferences presentation, and approximately 260 other reports. It's a lot of things produced during his career. He built his reputation on the biological effect of selection, working very early on what we called canalization, if I understood well. At that time, it was not called canalization. And also characterization and utilization of alternative local breeds in sheep and in dogs and horses in Norway. So, this is with a great pleasure that I give you this DSA award in the name of EAP.
Well, I just want to thank the EAAP for this award. I have been the lucky guy that have been in this business for 40 years. It has contributed a lot to my own career since the first EAAP meeting in Zurich in 1976. So thanks to all friends and colleagues that I have got through all these years. A special thanks to Philippe and Andrea for the close cooperation for some years now. And to the rest of you, good luck. Europe needs EAAP. Thanks.
Thank you. The second DSA will be given to Dorota Krencik, and it will be given by Matthias Gauly, who is the next EAAP president.
Thank you very much, Philippe. You still have a day to go, so don't forget this. Dorota, come closer. I feel a bit lonesome up here. I just changed my mind. I have a very long CV here, and which I prepared actually. It's very impressive. So I could talk about all the projects you have done. I could also talk about all the publications you did, but I will not. I will just give the audience a short information. These one or two people which don't know you, all the others may know you. She's from Poland, graduated in animal science, was very active in breeding cattle in Poland, and had a big influence on that. But I will focus a bit more, and it will not take too long. Don't be scared, Sinclair. I will focus a bit on the question why you are getting the award, and I think it's probably important to explain this. Most of you will know, but we have a relatively small group of people who is not asking the question, why should I serve other scientists? Why should I organize something? Why should I be responsible for something? Lucky enough, you belonging to this very small group of people, not asking the question, just doing it, and serving not only the EAP, serving all these people which are here. And so you organized with all your colleagues and friends in Warsaw a meeting last year for the EAP, which was a big success. And you have to keep in mind, circumstances have been really difficult for you, but you performed excellent. And this is why the council decided to give you this award, and I have to say you really, really deserved it. Thank you very much in the name of all of us.
You want to say some words?
Okay, thank you very much. I am very honored and was very surprised that it's me who receives such a very honored award. And I would like to thank you everybody who helped me to receive this award. It means my colleagues from the organizing committee and scientific committee in Poland, as well as my bosses, without whose help I will not do anything. Thank you very much, and thank you for the EAP.
Thank you. So the third and last DSA award will be given by Mike Coffey. Mike is the Vice President of EAP for Science, and I asked Geoff Pollott to come to receive this award. So, Mike, if you want to take the floor.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This will be a little bit shorter, Geoff, than you were expecting because I forgot to bring my notes. So I'm going to have to remember all of the nice things that I constructed about Geoff earlier in the week. You'll have to forgive me if I get a few of them wrong, but just to give you some background to Geoff, when I was writing all of this, I realized that you and I know each other from work together for probably 30 years nearly. And Geoff did his undergraduate at Reading, and then, like myself, went off to work in industry for about 15 years, worked at the Meat and Livestock Commission for some time, where he sort of rose up through the ranks, and then went off to do a PhD up in Newcastle for a few years. And while he was working at the Meat and Livestock Commission, I interacted with him in my previous job. Then he went off to do his PhD. Then he went to Y College, where he was a senior lecturer in agriculture and genetics. And I worked with him there as well, lecturing to the students. Then after Y College disappeared from the scene, Geoff actually came to work at SAC, where he worked in genetics, and I worked with him again. Some of the work that came to fruition at that time was in the UK. We undertake locomotion scoring nationally in the type classification service. And that work that started all that off was a direct result of a PhD that we did together with Geoff when he was at Y College. So the improvement in locomotion in UK dairy cattle is directly attributable to this fella here. Another area of work that Geoff was particularly keen in following was lactation modelling. When everyone else was going to using the Wilming's model and random regressions, Geoff was pursuing an alternative way of doing it using cell apoptosis and the like. So, indicating he's got a very inquiring type of approach to science, which I think has come through in the work that he's done with EAAP. He's been the chairman, the secretary to the scientific committee for 5 or 6 years. And probably fair to say that the scientific quality of the program that we enjoy at EAAP is directly a response to Geoff's input. So to that degree, Geoff, on behalf of EAAP and myself personally, I thank you for everything you've done, and my heartfelt thanks to you for everything you've done, and you well-deserved award.
Well, fortunately, Mike forgot his notes, because you then wouldn't have had to listen to such a short speech. It would have been a lot longer. Actually, what he said wasn't quite true. The scientific quality of EAAP meetings is down to a large number of people, not least the presidents and the people who work in the commissions at EAAP, and all of you people who go along to business meetings or perhaps part of the local organising committee to suggest topics for our sessions here. So all I do is basically collect them together and make sure that they get into the programme one way or another. When you come to EAAP meetings as a fairly young scientist, you don't think of getting awards like this or something like that. Really, you come because you want to interact with people from all over Europe, and actually, as it's turned out nowadays, all over the world as well at EAAP meetings. And the reason I keep coming to EAAP meetings is because I believe in Europe as a whole, as a community that works together on animal science and other issues. And actually, as a member of the country that's just voted to leave the EU, I might say I wasn't particularly in favour of that move. But nevertheless, democracy is democracy, and so I guess we have to live with it. Thank you very much for the awards. I'm very honoured to get it, and I really enjoy my time working at EAAP.
Stay here. Thank you very much. And now I give the floor to Matthias Gauly, who is in charge of following the participation and involvement of young scientists in EAP. And I call Paulina Aad and Christian Lamberts to come on the scene also with Matthias. Maybe Matthias will explain their role also.
I will explain. Thank you very much, Philippe. We'll just wait for these two young people arriving here. How can I move the slides forward, or are you doing this? Push the button next. Does this make sense? Yes, it is, it works. So there is a reason why these two young people are standing next to me. First of all, we thought that you deserve more than just seeing me. So there's Paulina on my left, and it's Christian. And as you can see, they are in charge of the Young Club, which we created a couple of years ago. This is the association within the association for the young people. You should be younger than, let's say, 38. We can make one or two exceptions, but this is more or less the border we're looking at. So you don't have to say anything, you just stay there and don't leave me. So One of the activities we did over the last years was the Leroy Award is something really impressive, but we should also give the chance to a bit younger people, which are, let's say, in the second stage of their career, to receive something similar and some similar attention. So we were creating an award which we called the EAAP Young Scientists Award, as you can see. And we received applications which were really impressive, very impressive by the quality and very impressive by the people which have been behind. So it was really difficult to find the best one out of the best. But I think at the end of the day, we did find someone who really deserves it, this prize. So he will be somehow in the book of histories of the EAP. I hope it means something to you because you are the first. It's an Italian, good looking. You will see in live in a second because I want to ask you, Massimo, to come up here on stage. It is Massimo De Marchi. Since I'm living since 2 years in the northern part of Italy, I know more or less how to spell your name, and it was it correct? Was correct. This is nice. I want to tell you a couple of words about Massimo. If I have seen his CV and all his performance for the first time, was kind of frustrated because I thought myself, why are you the full professor and this one is the young guy? It should be the other way around. He was publishing more than 100 papers. You can retire now. He graduated from the University of Padua, which is of course in Italy, where he got a degree in animal science. He did his PhD there. He became associate professor, first assistant, then associate, and works there since 2 years. His specialty is, and I have to put my glasses on for that, is phenotyping milk. So he's looking for something really interesting, new phenotypes in milk, and he's bringing it into relation to breeding, genetics, and health issues. Massimo, you are receiving the award for the first time. You will just have to explain this. You will just get this one. You're the first name on this list. You will get this just for a night. You have to give it back tomorrow morning. Okay? You should not go to pubs or any dodgy places. You have to return this tomorrow. Congratulations, Massimo. It's true. He's receiving both.
You can leave it. You can, yes,
It's unbelievable. You received two.
You can leave it with that one.
You can keep this one. You want to say a word? You keep this one.
Yeah. Only a couple of words. I'm so grateful to receive this award, and it's a great honor for me. First, I would like to thank the EAAP Council, and next, I would like to thank my department and the excellent guys that work in our research group. And finally, I would like to thank also my family and my wife that are supporting my activities, and again, everyone. Thank you.
I should give this away, huh? Yeah. Okay. You can get used to it, actually. So we have more awards to give away, and you see the sponsors behind. This is the Novus Strifle Grant, and the other one is the Wageningen Academic Award, given by Mark Jacobs. I hope he's here. If you can stand up, he should be here. In the back. Ah, Mike, yes. Come here. Come closer. Come closer. So you, of course, you are interested to know who is behind it, who will give the awards. And I have to tell you, I don't know, because these awards will be given based on the performance away tomorrow. So I ask you to go to session 25. It's a so-called young train session. And without these young train sessions, some experts will pick out the best talks. And based on this, the winners will be announced directly after this meeting. So we don't know this for this year. I will tell you next year more about the names. But what we know is the one who received the Wilhelm Schaumann Stiftungs Award. And I hope she is here. Is she here? You have to come here. So we had many applicants for these awards. It's a travel award and comes along with a lot of money. We received many applications, and out of these applications, you performed best. Congratulations. You've done very well. Congratulations. You will see that we're increasing the number of scholarships we're giving away year by year. I think it's a perfect investment we can do from EAP. So we gave away this year 20 awards or scholarships, and the names are all here. So if I ask them to stand up, should be almost half of the audience. Make a show off, stand up. Where are you? Ah, thank you. Thank you very much for coming and for applying for the scholarships. It was really good to have you here, or it's still good to have you here, and I can only motivate other young scientists to apply for our scholarships. You have a good chance to come here if you perform well. Thank you very much for your attention, being here. Mike, thanks again for the award. Do we need to make a picture? Good. Thank you very much.
Picture without the winner.
So thank you very much. This is the end of this award ceremony. Thank you for being patient and applauding. I give the floor again to Sinclair Mayne for the next step of the ceremony.
Thank you, Philippe.